Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to another match review. Chelsea face Everton this Saturday, 12:30 kickoff, which is a dreaded kickoff time for Chelsea fans. Let's be honest, we don't have a good history with the early kickoff. However, this is a must-win game. Enzo Marasca has said many times that every game between now and the end of the season is a final, but this one specifically is before our death run of the last 4 games of the season, and there are only 4 points between 3rd place and 7th place in the Premier League. So in this video, I'm going to be going over my predicted Chelsea 11 who I think should be playing against Everton, and I would love to know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section. And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 10k by the end of 2025. So let's get into this predicted Chelsea starting 11. Obviously, in goal, we are going with Robert Sanchez, Chelsea's #1 goalkeeper currently. Now, what is going to be very interesting against Everton is Enzo Marasca is actually serving a 1-match touchline ban because he picked up 3 yellow cards on the touchline, and the last one was against Fulham, celebrating Pedro Neto's winner. So we're going to have Willy Caballero and his coaching staff, or the backroom staff, on the touchline without Enzo Marasca. I think that's just going to be quite interesting to see how the team and Willy Caballero and his staff kind of communicate and how we can get the team going along. I don't know whether Marasca is going to be in the stands, in the tunnels, outside in a van. I don't really know, but it's going to be very interesting. But we know that Robert Sanchez is going to be Chelsea's #1. We had some massive news regarding Romeo Lavia, which I covered in my last video, so feel free to check that out. He will be getting minutes this Saturday, which is a great addition to Chelsea, and it's also kind of changed my mind slightly in terms of who I feel should start and how we can get the best out of this game. So Robert Sanchez, I'm hoping his distribution is half decent at least. It was a lot better against Fulham. He had a good game, made some good saves. Let's hope he makes no silly mistakes. All right, last time we played at Stamford Bridge, we drew 2-2 to Ipswich, and the fans got on his back a little bit. He couldn't handle the pressure, started going long, we started losing the ball, and then we had this whole fiasco of Enzo Marasca blaming the fans, which we just don't want to see anymore. So hopefully Sanchez can have a good game, and we don't just constantly play out from the back pointlessly, and we can try and actually get at Everton and get a few goals ahead. Sanchez makes no silly mistakes. Moving on to left back, we're going with Marc Cucurella. Marc Cucurella, the best left back in the league, in my opinion. I've been saying this all season. I think he's super consistent, super integral to the way Enzo Marasca's teams and systems play. He's fantastic. You find him in the half-10 spaces, which is absolutely wild. But he's our top goal scorer of 2025, which again it just blows my mind. He is the only one that's consistently good at his box presence, good at his finishing, and seems to drive the team up the pitch whenever we have the ball. So we're going to go Marc Cucurella left back. Also, we don't have any other options, let's be honest. So, we're kind of forced into that one unless we want to play Gusto or Reece James at left back. And I've not seen anything on Gusto as of yet, but he did pick up a knock against Fulham. So regardless of that, we're going with Cucurella. Now, the 2 centre-back pairing. For me, it's going to be Colwell. Purely because, for me, Colwell's been off fraud watch for months. I'm still, the jury's out on him for me to see, how good he is, or if we could replace him or whatever. And I know that Chelsea fans are quite divided on Levi Colwell. Some absolutely rate him, some absolutely don't. And I'm kind of in the middle. Like, he has some very good qualities. He's also been caught out too many times this season. And I feel like he needs experience next to him. When he's partnered with someone like Wesley Fofana, who is a great ball-carrying centre-back that can drive out, and actually recover on Levi Colwell's mistakes, Colwell looks like a better player, and he gives him more time on the ball, and his line-breaking passes are fantastic. That's about it that he's got going for him, in my opinion. There's been a lot of goals we've conceded across the season where, he's not picked up a man, or he's not looking or communicating to get someone else to cover, or he's not covering for someone else, and he's very quick to have his arms in the air and blame someone else and finger point. But look, I know he's young. I know he has got a lot of time to improve. So hopefully he does, and hopefully he has a solid game against Everton, because he's going to have a tough game. Everton are a very tall, physical team, so going to be interesting. But to partner Levi Colwell, I'm actually going to go with Tosin. Now, I'd love to see Trevor Chalobah. Of course I would. I love him. But the reason I've gone for Tosin is, again, for that tall physicality. He is a lot slower than the rest of our centre-backs. I get that. I like him as a recovery centre-back, but he is quite confident on the ball and quite calm in situations of playing out from the back. I think he's been relatively solid this season. I think he's kind of gone under the radar in terms of, or maybe not under the radar, but underrated by a few fans, because I think for a free transfer, he's actually done pretty well and saved us on a few occasions. Had some really good performances. But like I said, because of Everton's physicality and their height, I think Tosin is probably going to be a better match than Chalobah. I know Chalobah is relatively tall and quite strong, but putting them next to each other, Colwell and Tosin are going to be physically the strongest and the best in the air, in my opinion anyway. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Right back for me, it has to be Reece James. I said this in my last preview. Enzo Marasca said every game is a final. We've had a week to prepare. Reece James should play in every single game. Simple as that. Reece James should be playing every single game. If he doesn't play against Djurgården, I think how you say it, on Thursday, come in the first leg of the semi-final, so be it, because the Premier League right now is where we need to rack up as many points as we can, and Reece James is unbelievable when he's fit. He's been fit for a long time. I know Marasca's been managing him and trying to give him minutes here and there. I appreciate that, but look, every game's a final between now and the end of the season. Play him right back. Don't play him in midfield. You want to invert from the left-hand side with Cucurella. Reece James has to be right back for me. Now, when we go on to the two holding midfielders, this is where I've actually had a bit of a juggle around and a bit of a rethink in terms of who could start. This is just who's starting, right? Not to play the full 90. I'm actually going to go with Moises Caicedo as a given. He has to play. Best DM in the league. Some say in the world right now. He's been super consistent. Unbelievable player for Chelsea. And without him, we would fold like a deck chair. He is so integral to the way that we play, keeping the system and keeping that midfield together. And he's just got better and better. He's so good. But because we got the reports that Romeo Lavia will be getting minutes, I would actually start him with Lavia and bring him off at half-time, because that's typically how a Lavia performance goes. He plays unbelievable for 45 minutes, then we take him off to make sure he doesn't get injured. That's usually what happens, and we swap him with Enzo Fernandez. But in this instance, I'm going Caicedo, I'm going Lavia. I think that Lavia's a fantastic player. He's so good. It's just a shame that he's always injured. A stiff breeze knocks him over. You know, he gets injured going to the shops, getting the newspaper. He's getting quite worrying, to be fair. So let's hope that he can stay fit now he is fit and we can manage his minutes properly. But we also know what to expect of Lavia. A stellar performance for maybe a half, and then he might not play for a few weeks. So look, put him in with Caicedo. That is a solid defensive six. Like a double pivot there. It's so good on the ball, breaking up play and pushing the ball forward. Now on the left-hand side, I am going with Tyreek George. In my opinion, Tyreek George has... Oh, it's a shame I can't spell. Tyreek George has to play. He has to play. He deserves a start. He got an unbelievable goal against Fulham. Very instinctive, like went with the flow of the attack, got the equaliser. You can see how much it meant to him. Every time he's played in the Europa Conference League, he's lit the place up. He's got some goals there and some assists. He's growing in confidence. We can see that he's young and he's developing, but he deserves a start on that left-hand side, in my opinion. I think Tyreek George, it's time for him to have minutes. Time to have minutes in the Prem. Get him starting. You know, we have Jadon Sancho, Pedro Neto that we can rotate him with if things aren't going his way. But play Tyreek George from the start, in my opinion. That guy deserves the minutes. Up the George. Now in the 10 role, this is where I've moved things around slightly. In the 10 role, I'm actually going to go with Enzo Fernandez. Purely because we've got Lavia and Caicedo. Now, when we've seen these trios work previously in the season, Reece James wasn't playing, or he'd come on the second half. You'd have Caicedo as the right back who would invert, and then you'd have Lavia and Enzo in the middle, and then Cole Palmer a bit further forward. But when you've got this trio here playing it in this way, Enzo plays better further up the field. He's played so well in Enzo Marasca's system this season. The best that we've seen him play, right? We have the two tens essentially. Now, it would work slightly differently if you've got Enzo in that 10 role. If I'm being brutally honest, Lavia would have to go in the half spaces on the right-hand side rather than joining up as another 10, right? Because we use him as that defensive 6. Caicedo could potentially push. But I just really like Enzo in and around that 10 area this season within the system. He just works so incredibly well. So I want to put Enzo Fernandez there. And on the right-hand side, I would start Cole Palmer. I put Palmer on the right. Now, I know that he's been playing as a number 10 for most of the season. He played in the right wing for lots of last season. There's this debate with Chelsea fans, does he play better on the right or as a number 10? I still think the jury's out. He's been very creative this year. He's still got 23 GA from the central positions, and he's been off it for months, right? And then last year he had a wonder season from the right, drifting into the centre, and he did have a few games where he was playing more central, and he was just magical, right? We know how good Palmer is. Now this is how I would start it. Enzo in the 10, Palmer on that right-hand side, and then at the second half, you can always bring on a Noni Madueke, because if the plan is to bring Lavia off, You bring Lavia off at half-time. Enzo then drops into Lavia's position. Palmer goes in the centre, and you bring on someone like Noni Madueke or Pedro Neto or Jadon Sancho as an impact substitute in that second half. And I think that would actually work very, very well. But again, we'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down below. Do you think that makes sense? Would you just start Noni Madueke, put Palmer in the centre? I'm curious to know your thoughts. Now, when it comes to the number 9, it's going to be Nicholas Jackson. And I am praying that Nicholas Jackson can get on the score sheet or get an assist, because I know he was injured, he was out for a while, we nursed him back in with his minutes, but I'm going to be honest, the last few games he's really been off it, he's not been great. You can see he's trying to get in, he's hitting the post, he's missing shots. I think he's missed the most shots in the Europe's top 5 leagues in the last, or in 2025 so far. Like, he's just miles off it. We know what he brings to the team, he's got the energy, he can press, the link-up play, etc, etc. We know that. We know the finishing is what he needs to work on. And that's the one thing that we're waiting for. We're just waiting for the goals to come, because we were crying out for him when he was injured. We desperately missed him for all the other attributes he brings to the team. Now he's here, it's like, oh, we got Jackson back, so we get some of them attributes, but we're still in the same position where we can't finish our chances. So we really want to see him kick on, because we're coming into these last 4 or 5 games of the season are the business end. We need to get as many points on the board and score as many goals as we can, which is something that Chelsea have struggled with for months. So it looks like the form is slowly starting to turn. Enzo Marasca's system is slowly starting to click into place. You know, when you look at Pedro Neto's goal against Fulham, it was like the second most passes in one sequence. It was pure Marasca ball, and it worked. And I feel like the issue we have is if we have someone clinical, Marasca ball works perfectly. Because at the moment, we've done that so many times, but there's just no one to take the chances. So let's just hope against Everton. Again, they're going to sit in a low block. They're going to sit very central. They're going to defend very well. We know what they're going to do. We're going to have to either try and open them up, going side to side and backwards, or we're going to have to try and invite them onto us and hit them on the counter. I think they're the only 2 options we've got against Everton, if I'm being brutally honest. They know exactly how to set up and what they're going to do away from home. They're going to want the point. We're going to want the point. It should be a good game. But again, Everton's kind of our bogey team. It's an early kickoff. We don't typically perform well on early kickoffs, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens. But that is my Chelsea starting 11 against Everton. So that's my predicted 11. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. I love having a conversation with you guys. And if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one, and secondly, there'll be a thumbnail that appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.